All right, hello, and thank you for coming to day 2 of IJL finals. Not sure if I'm gonna do 2 streams today. I might just do the one and then leave the next one to tomorrow, and then do double streams on Christmas. I don't know. I'll figure something out. But regardless, we're in the. Not sure if that picked up. My cat is not very happy that I'm streaming right now. Anyway, we're in the semifinals of the IJL brackets, and actually, I figured out how this worked. So the quarterfinals only included the 4 teams, so 2 matches, and then the semifinals are where the top 2 seeds, so Scars and Zeta, already were in the semifinals. So they got to skip around because they are the top 2 teams in IJL. So that's what's happening. We're in the semifinals, and then tomorrow or tonight, I guess tonight into tomorrow morning, will be the finals, and I believe the third place match. I'm not sure, but either way, finals are tomorrow. So yeah, very, very fun. But yeah, we'll just get right into it. Still doing best of 5 matches, so long streams, but yeah. And yeah, so I guess we'll just get started here. We're going to be watching AWG versus Scars, and we did see AWG yesterday. If you weren't there for the first stream, Vinsu, thank you for coming back. But yeah, so we did see AWG yesterday, but just in case they are new to you, they are a pretty strong team. They have a very, very good survivor side, with a lot of faces that we've been seeing in IGL for quite a while. I think their hunters are new. I think Yukikina might be new. Not actually sure on that front. Anyway, and then Scars has been a team that's been around for a pretty long time, with a lot of really experienced veteran survivors, veteran hunters. They are a very, very strong team, up there with Zeta for the top of the IJL pack. But anyway, we will be getting into the first match here. We are going to be on Leo's memory. Generally, round 1, we have opera singer, but as we saw yesterday, that's not always a guarantee. So we could be seeing anything coming out of Brontal here, but it's pretty safe to assume that we will be seeing an opera singer. So our first 2 bands are going to be the Antiquarian and the Seer. This guy is jamming out. But yeah, Antiquarian and the Seer are going to be banned first here, which are, it's not really particularly an opera singer counter. They're kind of just general counters, very strong characters to ban out right away. I'm not sure, again, because the first 2 survivors that are picked in each round will be banned in subsequent rounds. I do wonder if maybe allowing out the Antiquarian or the Seer in this first round and then, banning the Gardener. Patient and Gardener are pretty dispensable. Gardener is a pretty dedicated opera singer counter. But I think what we are going to see here is a strategy that we've seen before with Scars, which also does explain the Seer ban, because Scars does generally pick Seer in the first round. Okay, yeah, I'm understanding this now. Scars does like to pick Seer in the first round to go against the opera singer, so it definitely makes sense that Brontal kind of anticipated that, having, studied the team that he's going against. We're going to lock in Wildling as well, and finally an Acrobat to round it out. So it's a pretty aggressive comp here. Once again, we are seeing the teams choose these characters that you really don't want to get on a first chase, and especially on a map like Ever Sleeping Town, Acrobat is very, very strong here. Wildling is also very strong here for the same reason as Acrobat. A lot of the short walls here you can jump over with the Acrobat bombs as well as the Wildling boar. So apart from, Wildling already is a very strong kiter, is faster than most other survivors for a pretty significant period of time while on the boar. So yeah, not fun to get a Wildling on first chase. It's not that bad, and especially if we are looking at an opera singer here, it's not terrible to have the Wildling as your first chase, because she can catch up to the Wildling. It's a little bit safer, I would say, for a Wildling second chase, third chase. Once you have that presence unlock with the cape, it's a little bit easier to catch up with the Wildling. It allows for a little bit more mobility in the shadow form without risking the cooldown. But yeah, Wildling's not the worst chase that you could get here as an opera singer. If we're looking at an opera singer, once again, we did see some interesting picks yesterday. I definitely wouldn't be out of the question to see maybe a Dream Witch here, I think Brontel's mains are Dream Witch and Opera Singer. So, if we end up seeing Brontel in round 2 as well, that'll be something to keep in mind. We did see round 2 Brontel, and okay, we actually are going to go with the Dream Witch. Once again, I feel like it's similar to Fav Gaming, who did pick Dream Witch in the first round. Ever Sleeping Town is a much better map for Dream Witch than Leo's Memory, which we saw yesterday. Thinking about the Fav Gaming match where Chicken decided to go with the same strategy, pick the Dream Witch first, and hopefully leave the Opera Singer open for subsequent rounds. I do hope that this goes better because it did not go well for Chicken, and part of that is the fact that Dream Witch counters are the same as Opera Singer quote unquote counters. The issue is that Opera Singer is obviously a much stronger hunter than Dream Witch, especially with this state of the meta. And like I was saying about Wildling, he's annoying to chase, but he's not nearly as annoying to chase for an Opera Singer as it is for a Dream Witch. So that really makes the Wildling a lot more effective here, I would say. Other than the fact that he has very painful decoding, 30% debuff, one of the largest decoding debuffs in the game other than forward. But it's not really a big issue, especially with these coordinated tournament teams who do have, very strong Cypher Rush. They know the Cypher spawns, they're able to rotate immediately to them. And we do have a round 1 Dream Witch once again. Misleading, because this does look like something you would see in round 2 because of that Dream Witch, but nope. Brontel is deciding to go with the Dream Witch first here. Which, again, I feel like it's the same issue as yesterday, because you have the Gardener. Gardener's not going to be an easy first chase as a Dream Witch. Patience, not an easy first chase for a Dream Witch. Wildling's not an easy first chase in general. And Acrobat as well is another Dream Witch counter. So it's just kind of at a disadvantage here. I do think that the Opera Singer may have been a better option, because once again, if the Dream Witch doesn't do well, Opera Singer is going to be banned anyway. So it really doesn't matter. Unless Brontel wins this, but again, it's much harder to win here with a Dream Witch than it would be with an Opera Singer. Anyway, we will be getting into it here. It looks like Shinami on Acrobat is going to be our first chase. The main body is going to drop down here just to preemptively follow that hook. Beautiful hook, though, transitioning right into the graveyard. And that is going to be our first chase. That's my bad. That's not the Acrobat, that's the Patient. I thought it was the Cunning Acrobat skin. That's my bad. But yeah, we will be getting our first hit into there, and thankfully that was the main body follower. That was not the leech, so that was the spawn follower. So that'll make this down much easier, because Shinami hasn't gotten rid of that leech, and we're going to see that happen right there. Shinami is going to go down fairly early into the match. We are seeing those ciphers hit over 50%, but it's a pretty good down. We're barely a minute into the match. It wasn't under 60 seconds. Well, the down was under 60 seconds. The chair is going to be over 60 seconds, So it's not a bad down. We're probably still going to end up in a draw situation here, just because of Scars' Cypher Rush, as well as the fact that it is a Dream Witch, but we'll see what happens. Looks like Gardner is coming in for this rescue. Gardner does not have Tide Turner, though. We are carrying... Oh, wait, no, that's my bad. I was looking at the wrong survivor once again. Gardner does have Tide Turner. Gardner is carrying Tide Turner and Broken Window, so no borrowed time there. We also have Tide on the Wildling, so we could definitely get a second rescue here from the Wildling. Yeah, Patient has Broken Windows as well as the Acrobat. But it looks like we are going to change targets a little bit here over to the Gardener instead of following the Patient. So that's a little bit interesting here. But it does look like Shinami does still have the leech, so that will take a minute to remove. But it does look like that leech may be almost out. Definitely, it's not really a position that you want to be in. Okay, no, that is either healing or removing the leech. Either way, we do have a leech on the Gardener as well as on the Wildling now. So there are quite a few leeches on the field for the Dream Witch. So it does give her a much more map control, especially heading into the later half of this match. But that was a rescue before half from Takoyaki here. And we're going to just continue on Gardener. So it's a little bit interesting, just leaving the Patient alone here. maybe fully committing to the gardener, or are we going to change targets once again? Patient is in the area, but we're actually going to get a hit in on the wildling there. The patient's leech has been removed. Very nicely done there. The coordination by Scar survivors. But we do have a leech now on the wildling. Patient does not have a leech anymore, but it looks like there was actually a follower in that area. So not the best situation for Shinami, but it does look like Shinami's actually managed to at least partially escape. Is he on the tram? Okay, he did end up taking the tram there, which is, it's not a bad strategy. The tram is very, very helpful, even if it's not hitting the hunter, hitting the survivors. It just wastes time, because you can't be hit off of it unless we're working with like a sculptor, I think Bloody Queen can do it. There's a few hunters who can knock you out of the tram. This is a Dream Witch, she can't do that, so very, very safe just to continue the kite and change targets off of Shinami. But Acrobat's going to go in for this rescue. He was the only survivor that was not injured, so taking a hit there, very, very helpful. It looks like we're actually going to get the Patroller over on Monet. We're changing targets quite a bit here, and I do understand why, because forcing all of the survivors into an injured state is a very good way to stop them from decoding, stop them from moving, and forcing them to heal each other up. The problem here, though, is that Shinami was healed up in the time that it took to down Monet, so it can definitely be turned back around for Scar survivors, especially since they basically have one cipher remaining. There's very little progress left to decode on both of those ciphers that have been decoded. They just need to start their final cipher, but they have quite a bit of cipher progress on the field, and with 2 survivors now healed up, it looks like we're also healing up Takoyaki, so resetting all of the survivors while Monet sits on chair. They definitely have more than enough time to do that. But the problem here is that they're not decoding, but with 3 uninjured survivors now, Wildling is also going to get on board as well, I believe, trying to make it to that chair. But yeah, this is probably still a draw situation at best, I would say, with the amount of Cypher Rush. We are returning to one of those ciphers as well as starting a new one, so we're leaving that cipher at 80%. Getting a hidden on the Wildling here, and Monet will be rescued. I do believe that was well after half, and we are going to trait switch and get a blink down there, so very nicely played by Brontel. I believe securing one. Oh no, that was on Takoyaki! That was not on Monet. That is a little bit unfortunate here. Losing targets once again. Takoyaki is on second chair, however, it's not, we do have at least, I guess that does make 3 survivors that are dead on chair. We can definitely rebound in the end game. That might be Brontel's strategy here, is to rebound once we hit the end game and not worry as much about reaching that cipher pop, because again, we are carrying detention. The survivors are mostly carrying borrowed time. Sora does not have borrowed time, but being at full health is not as much of an issue, especially with a gardener. You do have use of that shield. But Takoyaki is going to take off, so this is 1 confirmed elimination at least. We still have 3 survivors up on the field, as well as 2 ciphers nearly finished. The problem is just getting back to those ciphers. But beautiful bomb there by Acrobat just to break a little bit of distance. Blink is up though. Monet has to be very careful. It was Monet's leech, so that is going to delay that down for a little bit longer. But we are actually going to switch targets here over to the cipher that Sora was decoding. Sora is going to take a hit, so that does leave all of these survivors injured at least. Does look like Sora is doing a little bit of playing around with that bubble, trying to pop the cipher right in front of that leech. A little bit dangerous, but you can do that as a gardener. Obviously, that bubble is going to be weighted out, so not quite popped yet. Cypher is at 87%. We don't have trait switch anymore, though. So that is good news for Scar survivors here. We're not going to be able to switch to abnormal, but there is still one. Okay, the spawn follower is the only one left on the field. We are about. Oh no, the leech is still in cooldown. Main body is going to park itself next to Shinami, but we aren't quite able to leech just yet. Going to try and lose control of that spawn follower to get it back into the center. It's a little bit of losing track of that follower, but as soon as we're able to get the leeches back on the field, it's going to be much easier. But again, part of the Dream Witch nerf that absolutely kind of took her out of the top meta was that it takes much less time to remove a leech the more survivors that are eliminated. So the less survivors remaining, the less time it takes to remove a leech. And that's definitely something that Scar survivors can utilize here. But we are going to fully, at least a little bit fully commit to Shinami here. We do still have a football left to utilize, but oh, a beautiful blink there. Unfortunately, that is going to be a leech down, but with Sora getting pressured off this Cypher, I don't think we're going to be able to get the pop in. It's a very tough position for Scar survivors to be in right now. This is definitely looking like a 4-man elimination unless somehow Sora is able to kite throughout the entirety of Shinami bleeding out, as well as self-healing, which is possible, but it will be very difficult. Shinami is going to self-heal, though. It looks like we are just going to continue playing around this palette, and, ooh, the heavy hit not quite going through, it looks like. Did that go? No, that did. Did it hit? No. Oh, no, it didn't hit anything. But we will... Did Bronto lose control of that follower, actually? I think that might have been what happened with the sudden switch. But, yeah, more playing around these palettes. The problem with not having Blink up once you've started to rely on Blink as a Dream Witch is that it gets very difficult to play those games. But we are going to manage to get the hit in on Shinami. Shinami does not have self-heal anymore. It's really going to depend on either Sora going down or managing to make it back once Shinami is at least mostly healed. But that is going to be very difficult. Again, we are looking at a 4-man elimination scenario, which is good for AWG. This is very good for AWG because if we have Bronto Hunt in the second round like we had yesterday, then it puts pressure on Scar's survivors. Do we want to go against the Dream Witch once again? Then again, I'm not sure who has the map pick. So we could definitely have Scar's able to pick the map and pick a map that Dream Witch is pretty bad on. But it does put Scar's survivors in a position where they have to choose. This is what Chicken was trying to achieve yesterday. It just didn't go very well. But this is what he was trying to do, where you put the other team in a position where they either just ban the opera singer, get the Dream Witch, or ban the Dream Witch, get the opera singer. It's very one or the other, and it's good that worked out, and it's good that Bronto was able to pressure those ciphers. It really, because that is the thing, with the Dream Witch, she gets more powerful the more time passes in the match. As soon as she has full control of those leeches, full control of the map itself, and especially on Ever Sleeping, there's not a lot of distance between the ciphers. And with the kind of cipher formation that Scars did force themselves into, she only had to camp between the graveyard and the center building, the center 2-story. So that's not a lot of distance. It's very, very possible for a Dream Witch to be able to do, and we saw that beautifully there. So great control there by Bronto. And that's really what you need as a Dream Witch, because she's still a good hunter, but she is at a disadvantage in this meta because there's just so many counters to her that are picked regardless of whether it is a Dream Witch or an opera singer. Because any survivor that counters a single hit hunter is going to counter both of them immediately, and that's basically what the meta is constructed of right now. Is just survivors that can counter single hit hunters, because we have opera singer meta, bloody queen meta, geisha meta. All of these single hit hunters are hard meta, which means that all of the survivors that are meta can counter all of those hunters. But it's I'm glad that went well for Bronto, because it is, again, a very big risk, but very high reward, and we will definitely see that play out in the second round. But we will be heading into the second half of round 1 here, with AWG survivors entering the field, and Scar's Hunter. Burio is an opera singer main. We did see for a second there that Burio actually doesn't have any other hunters listed, so I would definitely say we could see, we will probably see the opera singer here. We could maybe see a backup come in, but I don't think so. But back to the picks, we are going to see that there is a recyclable seer coming into play, with the gardener and the coordinator will be thrown out and not picked after. But with these bans, we see the female dancer and the lawyer being banned first because they are common first picks. And then Burio opted to ban the mercenary rather than the seer, so the seer was locked in. We could have definitely also locked in a priestess there, but a lot of these team comps don't need a priestess or don't have a priestess on them. It's just, that is a very big difference between NAU meta and kind of the rest of the Asia spheres, that priestess really isn't commonly used. So, at least in tournament, she's not commonly used. Even when she isn't banned, as we're seeing here. But yeah, the the dancer ban was definitely Kairu targeted, which is fair and also very, very, very understandable. Because we have seen just how good of a dancer Kairu is time and time and time again. But yeah. Oh, okay. We are actually going to see a backup hunter come in here. We're going to see the wax artist, which, once again, we are kind of seeing those counters come into play. Seer, kind of similar to Disciple, not as strong of a kiter against wax artist, but very, very good at teammate support. So I would say Buryo is probably going to try and target the Seer for that first chase, because it is much harder to kind of use those owls. But we are going to see that they have placed Seer in kind of an out-of-the-way position, ready to rotate into the graveyard in preparation for that. We're going to see Buryo take a spawn very, very close to both the Coordinator and the Wildling. Obviously, not ideal first chases here. Even if Excitement has been brought, you don't really want to chase a Coordinator first, because she will very likely just use her gun right away before the cooldown on Excitement is over. So you can definitely first chase a Coordinator with Excitement and just hope that she doesn't shoot before the cooldown is up, but otherwise you have kind of wasted that trait. Maybe not, though, because we do have a Wildling, but Wildling is not nearly as strong of a harasser, much more of a kiter, and can harass, but, Wildling is quite literally very hit or miss of a harasser. But yeah, it is very interesting to kind of see round 1 Opera Singer not as commonly picked here. I wonder if when we get into IVL finals as well, we might see more of that, because I have been saying throughout this entire competition, throughout both competitions as well, if you've caught some of my IVL streams, I've been asking for these hunters to not use Opera Singer every time. Sometimes it's better to pick your backup. And okay, so it looks like we are going to bring... Actually, interestingly enough, Buryo has not brought Detention. We are bringing Trump Card and Insolence and Excitement on this Wax Artist, which is a very aggressive build, but I worry a little bit, because we do need a 4-man elimination here just to tie the first round. But yeah, we will see. Buryo is going to lock off that Cypher immediately and then switch over. It looks like we will be catching Coordinator in this first chase, which we do have about 20 seconds left on Excitement. It does look like we might not get close enough for the Coordinator to use that gun within those 20 seconds. So that is very good here for Buryo. The Excitement will be up by the time the Coordinator is even able to shoot at all. Looks like we're doing a little bit of playing around that wall, trying to bait out that gun. If it hits a wall, Excitement is still kind of wasted, but it also wastes the resources. Immediately, we are going to see, nicely done there. Excitement is going to activate, but after the stun, meaning that with the Wax Artist passive skill, that is going to freeze Kairu, bring him up to 100% wax, and a very easy free hit there. So very nicely done. With this pallet broken, this loop is not nearly as good as it would be otherwise. Kairu needs to transition out of it if he wants to stay alive, but it doesn't look like it's going to be much longer. Oh, but the owl coming in clutch there. That is exactly what I was saying about the owl being so useful on Wax Artist Kites. Unfortunately, a little bit of a misstep there by Kairu. Is just going to go straight down there. But what an intense first bit of this match. Cyphers are looking not too bad here. We're past 50% on all 3 of them. None of them, that was the Seer nerf. I did actually forget about that. When supporting teammates, the Seer Owl is reduced by, I believe, 30%. But that is why Kairu wasn't able to vault that window. But we're going to get a very nice rescue here from Ace on the Wildling. And we're going to just continue to commit to Kairu, just wanting to confirm this elimination. We were rescued before half, so Kairu does have a second chair to work with here. Actually, no, we have brought 3 Tide Turners on this team, a little bit similar to an Opera. This is an Opera Singer comp. through and through here. We have 3 tide turners. It doesn't actually look like any member of the team has... Oh, no. Wildling has borrowed time. Other than that, no other member of the team has borrowed time. So very aggressive Persona webs here, which honestly, the lack of borrowed time is not that big of a deal because Burio does not have... Well, I guess it kind of goes both ways. Burio not having detention means that the lack of borrowed time across the team... I mean, it means that there's less pressure on when to pop, but it also means that you can't pop, 99% chance you can't pop when someone goes down or takes a hit. And it would give a little bit of advantage to have borrowed time in that situation. But anyway, successfully pressuring that chair, very nicely done by Burio. And Kairu is going to take off. We do have 3 survivors left on the field and 2 ciphers that are about halfway and over halfway through. So not bad Cypher Rush here. Again, we are looking at a draw situation at this time. Maybe a 3... I do think we are going to make it to the Cypher Pop. Unless Scorpion goes down very quickly, which there is always a danger of. We are going to see immediately getting that hot wax down here. Trump card is up, but Excitement's not up for another 10 seconds, so it will be about 10 seconds until Burio will want to switch traits. Nicely done on that pallet drop, but unfortunately it's just not going to be enough time. Scorpion is going to go down here, and okay, thankfully Basement is not there. That would have been very, very bad if Basement was there. Fortunately, we are not, fortunately, you know, yeah, we're not near the basement, but A is unfortunately going to get caught out here and knocked off the board by the wax. That is very unfortunate. This has just gone from maybe a 3-man, maybe a tie situation to possibly a 4-man elimination. We still have those 3 ciphers needing to be finished, and 2 survivors on chair. We are going to get that rescue off on Scorpion, but Namiko needs to be able to cross the map, which is not going to be easy here. It looks like Burio is conscious of that, is going to switch targets a little bit, pressuring both Scorpion and Namiko at the same time. That is very, very good here. And great map pressure as well. We do have the teleport switch as well, so that's going to make it even more difficult for these survivors to finish the ciphers. It does look like we have returned to the cipher in Graveyard. Of course, that does mean that we will be sacrificing Ace, so... At this point, they are going to push for a 1-man escape. Namiko making great use of this corner house loop, especially with Burio's hesitance to break pallets. That's a lot of kind of area for Namiko to cover. We do still have Flywheel as well. Unfortunately, we're not really going to be able to use that Flywheel just yet. We might need to use it here. Yes, beautiful Flywheel over to the pallet. We don't have an Owl just yet. Beautiful pallet stun as well. We're at 2 ciphers remaining, and doesn't look like Scorpion has actually made it over to either of the remaining ciphers. So that's a little bit unfortunate. Looks like we might just be making it there around now. But Namiko, unfortunately, not able to contain for quite long enough, and he will be downed. So, yeah, we have entered the slug game here. Namiko, yeah, this is going to be, unless somehow Scorpion is able to be stealthy enough to decode the last 2 ciphers without somehow without getting teleported on, we will be looking at a 4-man elimination here. So very, very well played by Burio. Once again, that map control, and just playing very aggressive there, teleporting right away as soon as, I believe Gardner was chaired, teleporting right on top of the Wildling, and getting that instant down. Very, very nicely done. Just enacting pressure, and that's really all the game is about. Having enough pressure on the survivors so that they can't complete the ciphers, and not bringing detention here is going to end up working out because, you know, we aren't going to get to that cipher pop. So very, very nicely played here by Burio. And for both sides, that opera singer might very well not be banned coming into the next round, because we will be able to kind of avoid that risk, because that is, you know, it is very hit or miss. If you're able to win, you know, against the backup hunter, then it doesn't matter. You just ban the opera singer. We saw that happen yesterday in the Fennel versus Fav game. Chicken decided to play Dream Witch. Didn't work out so well. So Fennel just said, you know what? We're going to just ban the opera singer round 2, because we're not afraid of the Dream Witch. But here, both Burio and Brontel have been able to perform with the Wax Artist. and with the Dream Witch as well. So that does put AWG and Scar's survivors in a do we ban the opera singer? Because obviously you don't want to go against an opera singer. But you can go against an opera singer is the thing. It doesn't guarantee you know what, I am going to fast forward through this because we already know the outcome of the match, obviously, unless we're somehow able to get an escape out of this. Because that is why AWG is stretching this out. All they need is one man escape in order to win. But it does actually look like Namiko might be bleeding out or looking for the bleed out. We're going to see here that Scorpion hasn't used self-heal and Namiko has. So that does put Burio in a position. They could get a solo escape out of this. Namiko is primed. The moment that Burio downs Namiko, that like bleed out immediately. Scorpion also has a syringe. I don't think he's going to have enough time to use that syringe, but yeah, with that self-heal, I'm going to continue fast forwarding because once again, this is going to take a very long time. It's a very long and drawn out match. We could definitely chair Scorpion, but I don't think Burio actually knows where he went. It looks like we have found Namiko here. I think we are going to go ahead and chair Scorpion, or at least look for Scorpion to chair, because we know Namiko is primed. Yeah, okay, here we are. We are going to chair Scorpion to just make that even more dangerous here for AWG. Namiko does have an owl as well as flywheel, so if we're able to hide through the chair, we could get this solo escape. Because that is all AWG needs, is just one escape to tie, to win. Otherwise, it's a tie, you know, with a 4-man elimination. That is obviously the best result you can get is a tie, or, you know, a win/loss. But yeah, if AWG is actually able to pull off the solo escape with the owl and the flywheel, I think we might actually be able to do it. That is kind of the double-edged sword of chairing Scorpion to kind of make him last longer/shorter. We do have the owl as well as flywheel. Owl is going to be activated and the flywheel as well. I don't think, are we going to be able to? That is going to be a solo escape here for AWG. Absolutely incredible tenacity there, pushing for that one-man escape. They have won the first round by a hair. That is absolutely incredible teamwork, incredible coordination. And just, wow, what an end to that first round. And that really does set the stage, you know. Both teams took a huge risk there, not playing the opera singer. But I think that really paid off. Even if that did end in a solo escape, you know, it really only ended in a solo escape. Yeah, no, that is... Because the thing is that it does actually put the hunter in a very rock and a hard place. Because if you have one survivor who's primed down, the other survivor hasn't used self-heal yet, and won't bleed out for quite some time, the way to... I think if Burio had known where the seer was when chairing the gardener, that would have been different. Because if he had been able to see, you know, catch up to the seer before the dungeon was opening, there would have actually been a chance to kind of rebound that. So yeah, that's just, you know, it is what it is. But what a great job there by AWG survivors to just push it that far. Like, look at the amount of containment here, or the amount of decoding here, as well as the amount of containment. We've got over 100 seconds on both the gardener and the seer. Just absolutely incredible match there. But we will be heading into round 2 in just a moment. All right, and it does look like we have picked Leo's Memory, so that might be, or that is kind of a counter to the opera singer. Well, it's a worse map for opera singer than, say, Ever Sleeping Town, and it's also a much worse map for a Dream Witch. So I would say it's probable that that Scars would have picked Leo's Memory, just because, I mean, Dream Witch isn't bad on Leo's Memory. It's just a larger map, which does make it harder for her to operate. But we're going to see a pretty aggressive pick here. We are going to see the Seer as well as the Acrobat get banned, which honestly understandable. We have banned the Psychologist, which is kind of a safer, first pick, leaving the Seer still on the table, but still countering single hit hunters. So picking the Seer in response to that, it's a little bit risky because you won't have the Seer after this round, but definitely a good pick here because it does seem like Laddie is going to bring out a single hit hunter. We could definitely bring out the Geisha here. Or maybe a Dream Witch, possibly a Bloody Queen as well. We do see a lot of Bloody Queen on Leo's memory, and I believe Laddie does have a good Dream Witch if I remember, or Bloody Queen off the top of my head. And we're going to see the Aeroplanist coming out here once again. We saw quite a bit of Aeroplanist yesterday. That is Fathead Norton. We saw quite a bit of Aeroplanist yesterday. So definitely not surprised to see him once again here today. But interestingly, AWG has not picked the Cheerleader. And if I remember correctly, they didn't pick the Cheerleader yesterday either. So I guess Cheerleader is just not in their strategies, not in their comps yet. But I feel like maybe they should start implementing her, especially since she is such a strong solo kiter and also such a strong support. I feel like they could probably at least bringing her in there in order to put her on the bans list, because if you bring out the Cheerleader, that does put Laddie in a position where you want to ban the Cheerleader, but knowing that AWG isn't going to bring out the Cheerleader means you don't have to take the risk and ban her. We're actually going to see another wax artist coming out here. Different wax artist though. This is Laddie instead of Burio. Since it's not the first round anymore, we have switched hunters, which is a little bit interesting, honestly. I guess because AWG did decide to ban the opera singer instead of the wax artist, it does make sense, I guess, to bring out the wax artist again to just, I don't know, it's a little bit of a funny pick, but I definitely don't think it's a bad one, because once again, Laddie does have a very wide hunter pool, and it does leave stuff like the Bloody Queen, like the Geisha, those are still on the table, coming into round 3 and beyond. Well, I guess in this case it would be round 4 and /or 5, because Scars is behind by a round by 2 points because of that 4-man elimination from Brontal. But we will be getting into these spawn picks here. We've got Seer spawning in the factory, Aeroplanist spawning in the shack, Acrobat spawning as kind of bait in the center there, and Forward spawning over in the, I don't even know what that's called, like tree walls. And are we not going to see the, am I blind, or did we not see the hunter spawn? Oh, okay, we saw for a split second there Laddie is going to spawn to the left of the center, so directly opposite from the Forward and right in front of the Acrobat. Acrobat's really not a terrible pick for first chase here, especially with a wax artist. You can kind of cut off those bombs. It is a little bit annoying with the fire bomb, but it's not the worst position to be in for a first chase here. Though I guess Seer can definitely be a good first chase as well. Maybe the Aeroplanist, but really not as much. But we are going to see Flywheel on the Acrobat, Tide Turner on both the Forward and the Aeroplanist, and we're going to see Broken Windows. Broken Windows on the Seer. And I actually didn't catch Laddie's Persona Web here, so we're going to see it right here. Okay, very standard trump card detention, not Insolence trump card like we saw in the previous match. Laddie having a little bit extra security here, especially since this is a little bit more of a difficult map for wax artists. There's a lot of corners to get stuck behind, or for the wax to get blocked by. So it's a little bit more dangerous to bring wax artists on this map. We don't really see a lot of wax artists on Leo's memory, honestly. So I guess we'll see how he performs here, but a very nicely placed firebomb here, Laddie having no choice but to walk through it. That is going to cut off the wax for quite some time here, so very nicely played there by Banban. However, we are going to have the skill cancel finished with here, and a nicely placed ice bomb as well, slowing down that pallet drop. Very effective use of the Acrobat's bombs. Unfortunately, we are going to get to 100% wax here, and Banban is going to take his first hit, so that we do have half presence here. pretty early into the match. But we're about a minute in here. This is where you really want to have it down in order to put yourself in a winning position. But because of this loop that Banban has been able to set up, and Laddie also turning in kind of the wrong direction there, we were able to play a little bit of red light trick around that corner, but Banban anticipating it, heading to the outside of the factory. But beautiful flywheel there to cancel the wax. That is not something that we see very often, or that we see be successful very often. So very nicely done. But we're seeing once again just a little bit of pressure here around this pallet. Mind games, unfortunately, it will be over here. But this is already a complete 2-cipher kite, or at least complete by a few percentages. But yeah, 2-cipher kite, and the third cipher is well over half. I would say that is the forward cipher, considering how slowly it is moving. But yeah, very nicely done here by Banban for our first chase. And much better cipher progress than we saw in the previous match. So once again, cipher progress really is the marker of how well a match is going. And already we are starting our fourth cipher. So that is... we still have one more to go, but with the way the ciphers are going here, this is going to be a very fast-paced match heading into the kind of second half of it. Banban is over half, so once he is rescued, if he is rescued at all, I'm actually not sure if they are going to go and rescue. It was probably a slow enough down for it to work, but not sure. But it does look like Namiko is going to be decoding as well as Kairu. We are seeing A's in the area to give tinnitus, but unfortunately, yeah, Banban is going to take off here. AWG having opted to sell, which honestly isn't the worst situation here. Selling here, especially when you have this good cipher progress, you don't need an extra survivor on the field if we're just looking for a draw. Obviously, you know, we're not going to see probably a win situation here. But anyway, Aeroplanist is going to take the kite, and we will be heading into kind of the second half of the match here. So a lot of time wasted by Lati being forced to camp that chair. So very nicely done with giving tinnitus. But Kairu is going to utilize the second jetpack. It looks like a little bit underutilized, honestly. It was only, I believe, one charge, but it is what it is. Nicely done there with the wax percentage there by Laddie, kind of priming that wax before taking the hit. It is a little bit of a risky maneuver, though, because as we're seeing already, that wax is depleting. So yeah, not a great situation to be in for Laddie, because yeah, that wax was nearly depleted down to 0 before we were able to top it up again. So a very nicely done containment here. We have used our last jetpack, and Kairu is going to go down, but we do still have Tide Turner on the forward, as well as, well, we also have Tide Turner on the Aeroplanist, but that's really not going to be of much use here because he is the one chaired. But we do have our last two ciphers are at 90 and 80%. So again, very, very good cipher progress here. We're 99% chance we're looking at a 3-man endgame. I don't really see any instance where it wouldn't be. Oh, but missing that stun there, allowing quite a bit of wax to get on the forward here. And very possibly, oh, that is going to be a hot wax down. This could have just changed the entire trajectory of the match with that cipher still stuck at 90%. Very nicely done there by Laddie, and just a really unfortunate misstep there by Ace, missing that stun and getting both waxed and down for it. So that is not a situation that AWG wants to be in, and this might be, this at best, I would say, a one-man escape here, unless they're somehow able to kind of sneak around and rescue. Lottie does have teleport, though, and those chairs are very close together. So, yeah, and I mean, yeah, that's why I say anything can happen. Anything, it's never over until it's over, and this is being put on full display here. Obviously, you know, anything can happen. You can mess up like that, and even the pros mess up like that. So, you know, while they do so less often, but I mean, forward is kind of a survivor that is difficult. Luckily for Laddie, though, we are looking at dungeon directly next to the chair, so we are definitely in a position to camp it. However, I do think this might be a one-man escape because Namiko does have an owl. Ace is about to take off, so that dungeon will be open very, very soon. And it doesn't look like Laddie knows where Namako is either. So we do have the, okay, now we have spotted him out, but with the, owl remaining, there's not, oh, but we do still have the owl. Yeah, it's not going to be a down. That is going to be a 1-man escape, which still is much better than a 4-man elimination. 4-man elimination obviously grants 5 points and 0 points. 3-man escape still gives you 1 point. So AWG really scraping by here, kind of by the skin of their teeth, getting these 1-man escapes one after the other. But it really does, you know, that was an absolutely crucial misstep there from A's, and just so unfortunate. And I mean, like, I would say nicely done by Laddie for dodging it, but I don't know. I'm not sure how intentional that was. I do think it was very much just A's hitting a wall. But you know, maybe it was intentionally dodged. Well, we'll see. I think I did overshoot that timestamp by a little bit, so we're probably going to be, okay, not by too much. We are going to see the Seer and the Antiquarian banned here. Scars does like their Seer, so banning the Seer first here. I think these are actually the same bans as the previous match, so yeah. I will say, I don't think you can mess up worse than the player, I believe it was on the Vietnamese team from the IDV Stellaris tournament, who didn't quite exit out the gate and through. Not sure if you guys remember that, but it was in, I believe, the semifinals. It was a moment to be watching tournament, but yeah. We will be seeing the forward band here, and the psychologist and the prospector, prospector, and the mercenary being locked in. It wasn't really gate waiting. It was more he moved to the back of the gate and then, like, thought he was in it, put down his phone, and started celebrating with the rest of the team because they had just gotten a draw. I can't remember. It was Stellaris because it was the Vietnamese team. It was either against the Chinese or Japanese team, but it was like complete underdog situation. And then the hunter was like, "Oh, you're not here anymore? I guess I'll take advantage of it." Everyone thought that it was like a ping situation, like a mistake, and then like going back, you had to like go back and see because the face cam was on the player, and the player like got up and left, and it's like, "Oh, okay, well they can't really like." Yeah, the sculptor waited. The sculptor gave him full opportunity because they were like, "What is happening? This guy's just standing here." Yeah. It was an absolute underdog situation, like near impossible draw against like top Chinese players, and yeah, just stood in the gate. It was sad. But yeah, that was, I don't even know how that got brought up. But yeah, it was very unfortunate. But yeah, we are going to see the forward as well as the coordinator band here, and in response, the acrobat's going to be added to our team lineup. So I think that they are definitely planning for a Dream Witch here because they did go ahead and ban the opera singer. And they are in a position here. AWG, worst case scenario, needs to get a 3-man elimination. It would be good to get another 4-man, obviously, but 3-man elimination is what we need to just keep that, point advantage going as well as the rounds advantage. If AWG is able to win this round, that gives them 2 rounds under their belt. So even a draw still would be very, very good. Again, this is best out of 5. It's not best out of 3 anymore. Okay, we're going to go with the Night Watch. Yep, so yeah, I would say in part that is a little bit of psychological warfare there, especially since, again, this team is pretty much made up of Dream Witch counters. Unfortunately, this team is also kind of made up of Night Watch counters. We do have, obviously, Psychologist is an annoying kite regardless of the hunter, as long as it is a single-hit hunter. But against Night Watch, she does give presence, which is very, very essential to Night Watch gameplay. You are kind of useless without presence, and then much more powerful with presence. But with the Acrobat as well, Acrobat is very useful against Night Watch. Prospector is just good in general, but still very good against single-hit hunters, and can also be used to counter the Night Watch kind of in a similar way to Bloody Queen. And then obviously, Mercenary is forever the Mercenary. But yeah, and there's also a lot of obstacles on Leo's memory, which again, it does make it more difficult for a Dream Witch, but I'm not sure if Night Watch was kind of the vibe here. I would have maybe liked to see a Bloody Queen just to have a little bit more map control and mobility, because Night Watch's mobility has been hindered by quite a bit with the nerfs. But yeah, it's something a little bit more out of the box, I think, would have been a good choice here, because as I kind of said in the previous match, any survivor that counters a single hit hunter counters all single hit hunters for the same reasons. And because we have a full team to counter single hit hunters, something like, I don't know, a Hermit, Sculptor, something a little bit less predictable than a Night Watch. But interestingly enough, we're actually seeing the Night Watch is going to be carrying Confined Space and Attention. So no trump card here. We're going Confined Space and Blink, which is a pretty aggressive build, honestly, on a Night Watch. Not needing to depend on Insolence or trump card, just wanting to kind of lock survivors in place. And which is honestly, it's not a bad strategy here. We're going to be going after the Acrobat, which does also, bring a usage to that Confined Space. Interestingly, though, we aren't going to use any of the dashes yet we used one dash to get around that corner. But a very nicely placed firebomb there. Brontal is going to get caught in it, so that is going to make the wind inaccessible for just a moment here, but we will have it now. Monet, very nice discipline on that pallet vault. Not going to get Terror Shock just yet. Night Watch's hitbox, again, very, very small. And another beautifully placed bomb, just to slow down Brontal a little bit. We've got 12 seconds to blink, but this kiting route that Monet is taking is very, very effective. We haven't even gotten our first hit in yet. We're over a minute into the match, and the Cypher progress is definitely reflecting that. We are going to get our first hit in there, but we still have Flywheel as well as another bomb to utilize. I think we might have 2 more bombs here. Just because of the amount of containment. Okay, it doesn't look like we're quite at the containment bomb yet, but we are pretty much close to it, I would say. But a beautiful blink there, and without a prediction in sight, Monet is going to go down, but that is already over a one. Well, it's about 1 5/4 kite, which isn't a very good measure, but it's essentially a 2 Cypher kite, 2.5 Cypher kite. Very, very good, but a little bit slow, honestly. I do think that Scars may have over-rotated there, just to kind of try and get their survivors out of the way. But it did kind of cut down on that early game Cypher progress. It's still not bad. It's still very, very good. It was just slower than I expected, especially with an over 60-second down. Or well over 60-second down. We are going to get a hit in on the Mercenary on the way into the rescue. It's been a very long time since I've seen an equal stance in tournament. And unfortunately, even with the Tide Turner, we will be seeing Monet go down quite shortly. So very nicely done there. Having Tide, it really is just a free delay, free kite. Even if you do get down at the end of it, it's still 10, 15, 20 seconds of immortality. And nice, the Prospector is in the area to harass. I'm not sure how successful this is going to be, but at the very least, it is going to waste time, but we will be able to stun rescue Monet. Unfortunately, with the Night Watch hitbox, it's very easy to get around those body blocks, so nicely done there. But once again, we are going to get that pallet stun, or not the pallet stun, but the stun rescue. Sora is out of magnets, though, so he will need to back off. We also did get a hit in on him, so he also isn't going to be able to rescue, but I believe he might be getting healed up by... Okay, no, Mercenary is going to get healed up by the Psychologist, but Brontal is in the area here. Psychologist is going to possibly take a hit here. Yes, taking a hit here. Nice charged attack, and so Psychologist will be injured once that shield has dissipated. Mercenary getting a pretty much free rescue as a result, though. And Monet, unfortunately, using that flywheel, Mercenary did take the body block, so was kind of a wasted flywheel, but I don't know, maybe it did kind of put him in the way. Mercenary coming in with an elbow pad, just trying to body block as much as possible for this Acrobat, which is not a bad idea. I mean, usually with Mercenaries, you don't want to take this many hits on the way out of a rescue. But with a coordinated team like this, it can be good, because we're basically, those last 2 Cyphers, they're well over half. Both of them them are being decoded. As long as you don't need to pull a survivor off of those last 2 ciphers to try and to rescue the final survivor. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not quite going to be enough. With that blink in play, Monet is going to go down, but this is going to send Blink into cooldown for the end game, and we don't have Trump card, so it's not like we would have had teleport anyway, but Cypher is going to pop here. Monet is going to return to the manor, but it really is just a question of whether Bronto is going to be able to catch up to that gate. I do think he actually might be able to, even with the Night Watch's dash being what it is, but actually no, he's not going to make it in time with the wind still being in cooldown. He's not able to cross the map, and the wind is not nearly long enough to actually get any of those survivors out the gate, so that is a 3-man escape here for Scar's survivors, which was kind of the opposite of what we were looking for. We were looking for a 3-man elimination to tie. Unfortunately, this round is going to go to Scars, and I do think that I think that more than closes the point gap here. I am going to see there's the table. But yeah, just very nicely done there, and that really is proof of the Night Watch nerf. But yeah, so that does give us a 1-point lead here for Scars, and they are now 1-1 in terms of rounds. So very nicely done there, turning things around in the favor of Scars as a team. And yeah, just that is the thing with the Night Watch. You know, on a map that is that big, it's not easy to play the Night Watch because that chair isn't even that far away from the exit gate. It's relatively close, but because it's just, you know, it's just not close enough for the Night Watch, especially with that nerf dash. But we will be switching our hunters now. We are heading into round 3 and beyond, so Yukakina will be our hunter now for AWG, and hopefully things go okay. It's really the most you can hope for here. AWG is only 1 point behind Scars, so they can absolutely turn it around here. At very least, keeping a draw, if not winning the round, would be very, very helpful for them. But we will be getting into the picks here. So Scars does know this. Scars knows this very, very well, and so is going to lock in that Embalmer here just to try and increase their chances of getting at least 1 escape out the gate, because they're confident in Laddie, they're confident in Laddie's skills. And so if they're able to get at least a 1-man escape, they're confident that Laddie will be able to continue to kind of maintain the point differential. So, and also they're 1 round total. So yeah, but we will be banning the Priestess, the Mercenary, and the First Officer, as well as the Seer coming in at the very last second. Interesting, though, that Scars blocked in the Wildling first. I guess with both the Mercenary and the First Officer banned, that is kind of the favored rescuer. We're also going to lock in a Coordinator here. Yeah, it's kind of rare to have a team that doesn't lock out Coordinator before round 3, but yeah, good on Scars for kind of keeping her in reserve there. She is a very, very valuable member of the team, either forcing the Hunter to bring excitement or forcing a longer kite or a free rescue. And yeah, definitely a very good asset here, especially, again, they are looking for at least 1 escape. That the Embalmer is absolutely there to try and secure that. Yukakina could bring out the Opera Singer here. I'm just realizing this. Bloody Queen and Geisha are banned. There is no Opera Singer ban. Is a very confident strategy here from Scar survivors, which is honestly fair. Moonlit River Park is not the worst map for Opera Singer, but it's also not the best map for Opera Singer. And having this team comp with the Antiquarian, the Coordinator, and the Wildling, it's not a bad team comp if they want to go against the Opera Singer. Yukakina, I don't think, yeah, Yukakina hasn't played Opera Singer yet. I haven't seen his Opera Singer because obviously Opera Singer has been banned after the first round, basically every single match that we've seen so far. So this will be something new if Yukakina does decide to go with the Opera Singer, but he also has a Hermit who's not bad on this map. We could maybe see a Wax Artist once again, but I don't think Yukakina would pick that here. Yeah, Hermit's not bad on Moonlit, especially since we did ban the Bloody Queen and Geisha, who can both get across that kind of center partition on the map. Hermit can also get across that, if I'm remembering correctly. But okay, we will be going with the Opera Singer. Kind of, she can't directly go across the center there, but she can get around it very, very quickly. So there is still a lot of mobility here for that Opera Singer, and not a bad choice, especially this late in the game. If you like round three Opera Singer is absolutely incredible. And just so unexpected, not anticipated at all. Like it's round 3. I don't think there's been a single match where Opera Singer has not been banned after at least round 2. But nope, we are not banning the Opera Singer here. Scars is pretty confident here with this strategy, I would say. But then again, we haven't seen Yukikina Opera Singer, which I would say he knows how to play her, obviously, because he did pick her, but we haven't seen her in tournament yet, and I feel like that might be something that Scars is looking to exploit. It's not easy. I would say, I know, obviously, the NAAU and the Asia, Japan comp scenes are different, but NAAU, it's very, very difficult to get a lot of rank practice in with the Opera Singer, because she's almost constantly banned, if not constantly banned. Most of the A to S badge Opera Singers are very low tier because low tiers don't ban Opera Singer yet. So like I think at some point, I'm not sure if this is still the case, but like the first Opera Singer in NAEU was someone who would throw every match that Opera Singer was banned, so that they would stay in low tier. And then just exclusively play Opera Singer when she wasn't banned, win, keep the badge that way, but like destroy their win rate otherwise. It's just that kind of thing is so funny to me. It's scummy as hell, but like it's funny. Anyway, we are going to get into the spawns here. It does look like we might be looking for that Embalmer being our first chase, which is a little bit give or take. We can definitely do a lot with an Embalmer as first chase. It does have that, it will inherently waste time, because Embalmer will have a free rescue. It won't force any other survivors to leave their decoding, leave what they're doing in order to come rescue. So we do have that coffin to utilize. But okay, interestingly enough as well, we are bringing borrowed time on everyone in this team, including the Embalmer. It's not often that Embalmers in tournament will bring borrowed time, just because they do have their coffin and they also have full teammate support. So, you can communicate for the Cypher Pop a lot more effectively than you could in NAU Mammoth rank. But either way, it looks like we will actually be going for the Antiquarian as our first chase here. Which is also not a bad strategy. Antiquarian is pretty effective against an Opera Singer. I do wonder, though, because the main way that Antiquarian can counter Opera Singer, or the Opera Singer can counter Antiquarian, is with her speed. But we are working with post-nerf Opera Singer, and honestly, it's not that... Did we just cancel the disarm with... Okay, no, I don't think we did. I was wondering if doubling back would possibly cancel the disarm. I don't think that's the case, but Yukikina staying in the area, and an excitement popped at the last second of the disarm. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure if that was the most effective way to use excitement. I guess we are kind of depending on Monet going down before those sticks are out of cooldown, but no, we are seeing another disarm here. Popping excitement like that at the last, basically had 1 or 2 seconds left. And okay, yeah, there we are seeing the speed of the Opera Singer. Monet completely missing the aim of that stick. So he will be seeing his first share. Not a bad kite, though, and I do think that forcing excitement there was definitely really, really useful. Because again, we do have Coordinator coming in for the rescue, and Yukikina does not have excitement to counter that. So... yeah, I feel like excitement at least should have been saved for the end of the kite. Definitely understand using it earlier, but I feel like it just wasn't as effective as it could have been. We're just going to get the hit in on the Coordinator here, and immediately that gun is going to go off. Yeah, we are seeing actually a newer skin. I don't think that skin was available yet on the test server because Cheerleader wasn't there. Yeah, so it wouldn't have been available yet. But she is now, because we are playing with post-nerf Opera Singer World. I do wonder if that's why teams have been a little bit more willing to play something other than the Opera Singer for the first round. But I feel like she is still very counterable. And she is not still, like, the opposite of what I just said, which is, she's still very, very strong. I don't think that the nerf really did enough to her. Because the main reason why she is, like, she's still fast. She's a little bit slower, but she's still fast. Her hitbox is still very fast. The main thing that makes her meta is the fact that she doesn't have any cooldowns. And she can cancel her cooldown very easily. So it does make it a little bit more difficult to kind of work with. But we do have a basement chair here, which is very good. We're going to get a hit in on Takoyaki and also the lack of boar. But we are actually going to get a second hit in on Takoyaki as well. So that's a little bit risky here. Definitely runs the risk of losing Monet. But it looks like we are going to be able to catch up very quickly. Monet taking a bit of a predictable route, as well as Wild, like, not quite able to body block that doorway. And Monet, with no items left to utilize, really doesn't have much of an advantage here at all. Yeah, we are going to go straight down. Yukakina could definitely switch to teleport or blink here. But yeah, with the amount of time that it's taken to get Monet eliminated, I feel like we are still looking at a draw situation here. We've got one Cypher remaining at 67%. And I believe that Cypher is in a safe place. I think it probably Shinami was working on it. But yeah, we are looking at very likely a tie situation here. Does look like Sora is going across the map to try and take over Shinami's Cypher, and Shinami will be coming in for the rescue because he is the only survivor remaining at full health. Safest option to come in for this rescue here. So taking, I think, the back route here, very stealthy route, trying to just wait for the Cypher to be primed as much as possible. There is a lot of time to waste here because it is Takoyaki's first chair, so, you know, Shinami's not as concerned, but we are going to teleport over to that primed Cypher. It's not quite primed yet. We also don't have a gun, and Sora is the injured survivor here, so not a pretty dangerous situation for Scar survivors. This could definitely turn around here. It's a little bit less detrimental, I would say, than the position that Scars were put in last time with Bronto's teleport. But yeah, I feel like because they were able to reset here, Shinami does still have a coffin, and they do have accelerated decoding, as well as that Cypher being primed. Takoyaki could definitely... Well, Takoyaki does have the boar up, as well as the Tinnitus cancel. Tinnitus cancel is gone, though, but we do have the boar up and coming. So we could definitely cross the map here, go ahead and rescue Sor. But it looks like Takoyaki's actually just going to waste time around the bridge. So they might be going for that solo escape. And depending on the Embalmer endgame, it's very interesting strategy here. The unfortunate thing, though, is that Takoyaki taking a very long route to the chair, if we're even going to be able to get to the chair at all, but using the dash there not to stun Yukakina, but instead to try and get closer to that chair. Getting off the board right away as well, just to take that body block. Sora is up, and that Cypher is almost primed. So this is, once again, looking like a draw. Very, very good communication and coordination here from Scars. That Cypher is nearly primed. Are they going to be able to pop in time? Yes, right at the end of the Opera Singer's attack recovery, we are going to be able to get that, pop off. And Sora is going to take the roller coaster with Yukakina in tow. So that was a very fast-paced play there, but we will see if that works out. Taking the Hunter away from that gate really does kind of leave it open here. It does look like Sora might just be sacrificing himself for the tie, and Embalmer's coffin is over dungeon. Unfortunately, yeah, we're not going to be able to embalm the coordinator, but with that exit gate open, teleport is up, though, so Takoyaki does need to be very, very careful here, but it does look like with the boar, we are safely out the gate. Shinami will likely be able to reach either the gate or the dungeon here. Yukakina heading towards the opposite exit gate. Are we going to be able to teleport back in time? I don't know if we will. I don't think a decoy was left at the other side of the map, and Shinami is just going to be able to run home free, so that is a very nicely done draw there by Scar's survivors. and just so well played. Even with the even with the kind of aggressive teleport play there, just great kiting. That intro kite being over, you know, a very long first kite, definitely helped there as well. So very nicely done there. That does put Scars in a pretty good position here, but because it means Lottie only needs to get, well, I mean, you know, Lottie needs to get a draw to be safe. But quote unquote only needs to get a tie. Or only needs to get a 3-man elimination in order to win the round and put another point in Scars' bucket. So we will be banning the Priestess right away here, as well as the Aeroplanist, which is a little bit interesting. But I definitely understand where Lottie is coming from, wanting to lock out possibly the Mercenary or the Patient coming into the next rounds. Instead, we are going to have our first two choices be the Antiquarian and the Lawyer. Lawyer, still very strong. I do think we might be playing on Lawyer nerf as well, so his speed boost is a little bit less intense. I think they lessened it, or they made it more difficult to get, or at least slower to get, as well as only 3.5% movement speed boost instead of 5% movement speed boost, I think. Don't quote me on that. I'm actually not sure what the specifics of the Lawyer nerf were. I know he got nerfed, though, and I think it was in the same patch that Seer and Mercenary got nerfed. Might also be wrong on that. So we may or may not be playing with Lawyer nerf landscape here, but if we are, I don't think it'll change much. It'll change just a little bit because he won't be outright broken. But yeah, we did ban the Opera Singer here as well as the Bloody Queen. So we could definitely still go Geisha. Magician ban here is definitely really interesting. But with the Seer off the table, I definitely understand it. But yeah, Magician being banned here, as well as the Dancer, locking in the Entomologist is definitely not a bad choice, especially with that Magician ban, because her bees do kind of serve a similar function to the decoys as well. But yeah, Entomologist does have a lot more potential for teammate support. So it's a little bit of a grab bag here, but we will see. The Lawyer nerf, I think I saw it in the patch notes. I don't think it's in test. I think it's out of test server. Other than that, I think everything after the Lawyer nerf is test server stuff for next season, but I'm pretty sure I saw it in the patch notes like a couple weeks ago, a few weeks, I don't know. Okay, we're going to go with the Guard 26 here. Really, really not a bad choice, especially with the Mercenary being on the team. Chip damage is kind of the Mercenary's enemy. Can definitely be very hit or miss, quite literally, with the Antiquarian. Antiquarian does have the capability to use her stick to break the bombs, so if she ends up coming in to rescue, that could be much more difficult for Bonbon camping. But other than that, his chase is pretty much unaffected by that capability, because Antiquarian's much more likely to use her stick to harass rather than to, like, just, you know, knock off the bombs. But we will see how this goes. It looks like Lottie actually choosing a pretty interesting spawn point right in the middle of the two-story side of the map. So completely leaving the Antiquarian alone here, in position to target the Mercenary or the Entomologist or the Lawyer. I would say Entomologist is not going to be an easy chase here. I do think, I actually don't know how bees are affected by Bonbon bombs, but I do, actually, Bonbon might counter her, because, yeah, the bees do take bomb damage with her, if I'm remembering correctly. They don't block the bombs. So, yeah, Entomologist is definitely a possibility for the first chase. She does have the coaster to work with, though, and Mercenary is also going to be in position to turn off the stop right away. So if Lottie doesn't bring teleport off the bat, that could definitely be very good. Of course, we could also, in that situation, switch targets to the Lawyer or to the Mercenary if Mercenary doesn't take the coaster with her, but again, that is quite a bit of prediction here. We're going to see broken windows on the lawyer, flywheel on both the entomologist and the antiquarian, tide turn on our mercenary. It looks like Bonbon's going to be carrying insolence and detention, so no trump card here. I do believe that is teleport, if I'm not mistaken. So that will be up fairly shortly. Definitely a good choice to bring detention here, or to bring teleport here, especially since we don't have trump card. No option to switch that trait later in the match. Taking an interesting route here, kind of looking for that lawyer. Of course, lawyer can also see where Lati is, so it's a little bit of a dangerous situation here. Lawyer immediately being able to counter rotate, as well as using that map to gain the speed boost. So already we're seeing Lawyer move very quickly. You can really notice the speed boost down in the corner, even if it's not as obvious up on the screen. But a very nice chain bomb there. Banban is going to take a hit out the window. So it is, 1 chip damage, but Banban is now going to be able to rotate into the God Kite area. So this is much easier to contain. And however, beautifully placed chain bomb once again there by Laddie. Outrunning that one though. But we are doing a very effective job. 3/4 chip damage now. This is going to be a pretty short kite here, not quite able to drop that pallet in time, and with no flywheel to work with, Banban will be going down here at a little bit over a minute into the match. So not a bad first chase. Really, that beginning rotation there around the 2-story was very, very effective, and is always very effective there. 2-story is one of the strongest initial spawns on the map. Putting your decoder there is a very good idea, because even if they are the first chase, it's very easy to contain in this area. And then also you have the God Kite to transition to. Obviously, Bonbon does make that a little bit more difficult, but already we're seeing our first Cypher pop. Second one is well on the way. 54% Cypher has been abandoned, but honestly not the end of the world. It's still very good early game Cypher rush. It does look like Ace is in the area. AWG might be opting to go for a cell strategy once again here. They do need a 3-man escape in order to win, but they just need a draw in order to tie the round. So they can definitely afford to go ahead, sell Banban, and just push for a tie here. It's a little bit risky to sell, especially with as aggressive a build. Yeah, we are seeing that teleport come through right away, and Nabako kind of anticipating it, heading very far away here. We do have Antiquarian Chase, which isn't as much of an issue here for a hunter like Bonbon, because we do have the bombs. Obviously, Antiquarian can break the bombs, but again, that does make her vulnerable to the basic hit. So it really does kind of put Namako in a rock and a hard place. Beautiful flywheel, though, just to avoid the chip damage for a moment longer, and outrunning that chip as well. We are going to see the remote bomb deployed here in order to get our first chip hit in on the Antiquarian. But with that speed boost, she is doing a very good job here of just avoiding those bombs by 1 or 2 steps, and missing the hit as well. Bonbon hitbox really not working very well, and we are actually going to see that bomb be broken by the stick swipe. Very nicely played there by Namako, still only at 1 chip damage. Playing around here with the 5-second bomb. Are we going to be able to get the chain bomb in? No, but we will get the basic hit. Very nicely done there. Namako almost out of stick here as well, so it's not a great position to be in. Most of that stick having been used. Nice avoiding of that remote bomb, though, and already we almost have those last 3 ciphers decoded. Unfortunately, missing that pushback there. We will be seeing Namako on his first chair, but we nearly have down to 1 cipher remaining. We got our final 2 ciphers past 80%. Very, very good cipher progress here. So, and with the mercenary still being up, still being active, still having that tide turner, we are almost definitely looking at a 3-man endgame. Although the final cipher is at that bridge in the center of the map there, we're just going to switch targets. It looks like entirely switching targets here. No, not quite. We're going to double back here, trying to catch that mercenary off guard. Cairo taking the kite for just a moment there, but yeah, it is a little bit of a difficult position to be in, because that final cipher that needs to be decoded is in such a vulnerable position. If anything, they may want to decode a new cipher machine, but Cairo going down very quickly. Thankfully, the basement is not there. It does give them an opportunity, though, to return and prime that cipher, and it looks like Ace is going to do exactly that. heading to that cipher in the middle of the map. It is going to be primed by the time Kairu is chaired. They're going to be very safe and very able to pop that cipher. In theory, Namiko a little bit far away, does still have Flywheel left to utilize, and is also at half health, so a little bit more vulnerable to those bombs. We're going to see Kairu actually go down, but Mercenary was able to head back to that cipher in time. I do believe he actually elbow patted over there. Very nicely done, and Kairu is going to be back up. So unfortunately, Flywheel is not quite off cooldown yet. And we are going to take our first chip hit in there. We do still have quite a bit of bees left to utilize, but it looks like Kairu is actually going to take them off the map, and we'll be going down here. Teleport is up, and that gate is not quite going to be open by the time Kairu is chaired. That does put AWG in a little bit of a situation here. Laddie can definitely teleport, but it does look like Namiko is moving back across the map here. Could probably arrive in time. Especially with that football, can probably arrive in time to the chair, but it looks like they might be looking for Kairu to take off. With that gate being open, that does leave both the open gate and the dungeon very capable for Namiko to get to with that flywheel up, as well as with the football. It does look like Laddie has kind of deduced where the dungeon is, as well as kind of sniffed out Namiko. Will be catching sight of him in just a moment here. Unfortunately, no blink. If he had blinked there, that would have been absolutely incredible. But yeah, we are right over the dungeon here. That dungeon is going to open, and a very beautifully done tie here for AWG. So that is going to deadlock this score here. Well, not deadlock the score, but we will be kind of putting that round away. 2 points to either team, or 4 points to either team. Scars is still going to be 1 point ahead, but they are still tied in the rounds. So this will be going to round 5 as a result, because both teams still need to win at least one more round, as well as continue to have the point advantage. So a little bit of a, well, it's an unfortunate situation for Scars, because I would assume that they did want to get the win there, just to kind of continue that lead, but not a bad result for either team. You know, it does still keep that point differential, but it doesn't up the score, on either side. So very, very nicely done, and very nicely done pushing for that tie. And it really does show, you know, not rescuing the first survivor, it's not a bad option, because it means, especially against a hunter like Bonbon, who can just very easily get those chip damages in, and continue to disrupt the survivors that way, just by damaging everybody on the team. It's very difficult to rescue against Bonbon. He has still, to this day, some of the strongest camp capability in the game, up there with, you know, Disciple, in theory, Lizard, but not really. Formerly Sculptor, I guess her camp is kind of weak now because of the statue hitbox not existing. But, I mean, her camp's not bad. You just have to be a very good Sculptor to pull it off. But, yeah, Bonbon is a very strong camp hunter. Not going to rescue is basically just like, yeah, well, we're not going to take that risk. We can still get a draw just by focusing on ciphers, not pressuring the chairs, not taking the excess damage, and AWG achieved that beautifully. So that is going to be still a 1 point difference. Each team is still going to have one round in their favor, and we will head into round 4 here in just a second. Yeah, it's about right. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of the game that that AWG plays, is tie, drag it out as much as possible. And it worked to their advantage yesterday, but with the point advantage going to Scars, this can definitely go either way still. We did see AWG bring the entire match back around from a losing position in the last 3 rounds. Out of 5, so that's still definitely a possibility. But Scars also is a very formidable team, definitely kind of having the upper hand coming into this matchup. AWG is very much the underdog, but yeah, I mean, they are very, very evenly matched here, and we're seeing that completely. But with round 3 come quite a few survivor bans. So on the table, or off the table, I should say, we have Antiquarian, Lawyer, Acrobat, Seer, Gardener, and Coordinator. Also banned is going to be Priestess and Dancer. Laddie really not wanting to deal with that Kyrie Dancer, and honestly, very, very understandable. Banned for Hunters, we're going to see Geisha, Bloody Queen, and Opera Singer, quite obviously. But I would definitely be interested to see if we could bring out that Bonbon again. Maybe a Night Watch. We could also see maybe... Well, I guess this would be more on Yukikina's side, but maybe a Hermit, possibly a Dream Witch. Yeah, Dream Witch is actually very much still on the table, but I do think that AWG is somewhat counter-comping her here with that Embalmer, Prospector as well, and the Mercenary, very much aimed towards a Dream Witch, not so much aimed towards a, Guard 26, or, well, I guess it does kind of work against Night Watch as well. And for our final pick, we're going to ban the Toy Merchant and lock in the Aeroplanist. This is pretty much a Dream Witch counter comp. Obviously, without the Psychologist is a little bit interesting, but I feel like they are going a little bit more for containment, and for that teammate support, they're bringing out the Embalmer instead of the Psychologist. Other than that, a very, very heavy very heavy containment team, as well as support with the Prospector. Obviously 2 strong rest heroes here with the Aeroplanist and the Mercenary, but not the worst position to be in here, especially if we are looking at a Dream Witch. Once again, though, that does mean that Laddie may not pick the Dream Witch here, because this is a team pretty much made up of at least soft counters, if not hard counters. So it's a little bit of a risk to bring out the Dream Witch, but we are going to bring out the Breaking Wheel. We will have to see, because even if AWG wasn't expecting the Breaking Wheel, they could definitely have still brought Flywheel for that Dream Witch, or for the Guard 26. So there's definitely, well, there's likely going to be Flywheel on the table. There's always the possibility that AWG decided to not bring Flywheel, but I would say there's a pretty high chance of there being Flywheel, or at least a few Flywheels here, probably on the Prospector and the Embalmer, if not also on the Aeroplanist. But we will have to see. It's a very, very strong map for Breaking Wheel. And we've seen actually Yukikina from AWG as well perform with a very strong pull-in on this map. But it can also be a very long match, so I guess we should just strap ourselves in for that. But yeah, Breaking Wheel matches do tend to go for a very long time, tends to be a lot of slugging, just dragging out the match. And we also know that AWG is very good at dragging out matches. So I would say this is probably going to be a long one. I guess, lock in for that. But yeah. We could definitely go for the Aeroplanist. Aeroplanist, I feel like, is a little bit weak against Breaking Wheel, because you don't, like, there's not, I guess it could kind of go both ways. Once we have the snap in play, it does become, you can use the dash to just kind of keep that distance away, make it so that Breaking Wheel is not able to use the snap. Okay, so we are actually going to see those 2 Flywheels on the Aeroplanist and the Prospector. Broken Windows on the Embalmer, and obviously we're going to have Tide Turner on the Mercenary, and we're bringing Insolence and Detention on the Breaking Wheel. More and more Breaking Wheels have been bringing Detention. Used to be that Breaking Wheels did not bring Detention, but with kind of the fact that survivors have been learning and know now how to counter him does mean that we've been seeing more and more Breaking Wheels bring Detention, not take the risk of bringing, Insolence trump card. But Insolence is still, the skill to bring on a Breaking Wheel. Very aggressive, very strong, but we will be seeing the Aeroplanist take first chase, so I'm definitely interested to see if we're able to use the jetpack, or when we're able to use the jetpack, because I would say we're not going to be able to, use it while he's in wheel form. It's really just going to be, staying away as long as possible when out of wheel form. But already, yep, we are going to see the jetpack go off here. And a very long trap thrown right into the doorway of the hotel area. So very nicely done there by Laddie. Batman obviously is going to avoid it, but it does kind of leave him out in the open for much longer than it would otherwise. So that is going to be our 3rd spike in here, and using the hover just to gain a little bit more distance as well. Very nicely done there by Batman, and missing our 2nd trap here as well. Just kind of underthrowing it, throwing our third trap, and that is also going to be dodged here. But it does, the thing with the traps, even if they don't land, it does mean that Banban has to avoid them. But we're going to already use our third jetpack here. Banban is one hit down. So that is going to be very useful here for Laddie. Yeah, not even needing to use the snap there. Nice use of insolence, though, because that does bring us nearly to full presence. So very nicely done there. And the unfortunate thing, though, is that already this was a very neat 3-cipher kite. We don't have our last 2 ciphers started yet, but it is, this is a solid 3-cipher kite, which is quite a lot of time to waste, especially with a breaking wheel. You do have the map control, and on a map like Chinatown, this could definitely still turn around in Laddie's favor. It really does just depend on if AWG is able to kind of continue it, and that is going to be a very nice hit there on the mercenary. The rescue is still going to go off, but our third cipher is about to be decoded. This is well before half as well. So, yeah, Banban will be going down. But we've actually gotten the Embalm in on Banban that is going to probably go off once the chair is activated. But very nicely done by AWG. Oh, and Prospector's also in the area to harass, just keeping Banban off chair, having the security as well of that coffin ensures that these survivors won't really need to come into rescue. But unfortunately, that magnet is not going to push back nearly as far as Namiko probably hoped, and that chair is going to go off. So we will be seeing that coffin activate, unless... Why did we cancel that coffin? Yeah, that was not... I think that had to have been a mistake, because that coffin is basically wasted now. That is very unfortunate here. Laddie just trying to waste as much time as possible, running into the chair. I remember the old days where this would be just infinite. You could not rescue. But I think they did end up nerfing that off Poland. But it was at some point a lack of rescue. But a beautiful flywheel there just to avoid the spike. Unfortunately, a beautiful blink from Laddie is going to down Banban. Yeah, that wasted coffin is really just not ideal here, but I guess all's well that ends well. It looks like we do still have 2 coffins here from Ace, so not the worst. Or no, those are elbow pads, my bad. Yeah, coffin's completely wasted. But we are doing quite a bit of pressure here from Namiko, and it looks like Embalmer also here as well to try and delay, and Banban is in fact going to struggle free. So that cipher is primed, Laddie in the area, possibly going to go down here. Oh, yeah, Banban is going to go down, and that cipher will be popped. We have a 4-man endgame here, very, very nicely played by AWG survivors. Yeah, we're seeing that 90-second containment pop up here from Namiko. Looks like Kairu might be going down here. We do have detention as well as 2 spikes in. So that is not really a position that we want to be in. Yeah, the Kairu is going to go straight down there. But the other exit gate is open. All 3 survivors have more than enough chance to get there. That will... this is going to be a 3-man elimination. Unless somehow Banban's not able to get to the gate in time. But yeah, no, he is absolutely going to be able to make it to that gate. This is a 3-man escape here for AWG survivors, and what a way to bring that. That was absolutely incredible teamwork. Even with that wasted... I feel like, it worked out. It worked out despite the wasted coffin. It was just a little bit unfortunate. I think the coffin being canceled was honestly not a bad decision, though, because it did keep Laddie's attention, in that spot. And I think that was the strategy that Scars was going for. They wanted to keep Laddie's attention on the chair, not have him leave that area, because the cipher that was being primed was all the way across the map. So they didn't want him to leave, go and pressure the cipher, go and pressure the other side of the map. It was definitely, I feel like Laddie, it's a little bit of psychological warfare there. Because I feel like it definitely could have been used. But yeah, wasted coffin, but it 100% worked out there. That is a 3-man escape here, which puts a lot less pressure, or I guess puts a little bit less pressure on Yukakina, but yeah, Yukakina only needs to get a draw here to win this round. So that does kind of put pressure on Yukakina to get a draw, but it is what it is here. We're going to ban the opera singer, wax artist, and the guard 26. So we could definitely see another breaking wheel coming out of Yukakina. But I would say that Scars is very likely going to counter comp the breaking wheel here. Possibly also counter comp the Hermit. I guess it will really depend on whether they lock in like a barmaid or something in these first couple picks. But yeah, it's very up in the air here, I would say, between those two hunters. Or Yukakina could pull out something crazy. We have seen a Disciple, I believe, from Yukakina. Yeah, we saw a Disciple yesterday. And we're going to pick the Seer as well as the Batter. So very aggressive first couple of picks. I feel like maybe Batter could have been... I guess Batter is good against both Breaking Wheel and... Breaking Wheel, Hermit, and Night Watch. So that kind of does knock three very good hunters off the table here, at least somewhat. I mean, you could definitely still play on any of those three against a Batter, but it is much more of a risk, especially Night Watch or Breaking Wheel. Batter does have the capability to stun out of the kind of area of effect spikes that come with max presence, which isn't, I guess Breaking Wheel would still be basically safe. There's a lot of harassment that the Batter is able to do here, as well as with the Toy Merchant. That's a lot of teammate support, a lot of distance able to be broken. Hermit would suffer against that. So yeah, it's not a fun team comp to play a Hermit against. It's not a fun team comp to play a Breaking Wheel against. Does look like they might be, or not a good comp to play Night Watch against at all. Really not a Night Watch situation here. Maybe because it's Chinatown, it could be a decent Night Watch situation, but I would be scared of that. I would be very, very scared of that. Not that I'm not already scared of Night Watch in terms of his own performance. But yeah, it wouldn't be. I feel like Night Watch is not the vibe here. Maybe Hermit. Of course, we do have very coordinated survivors, so we could not see that Hermit come out here. Dream Witch is on the table, but with the amount of distance that's able to be broken by the Toy Merchant as well as the Batter, and obviously Seer and Mercenary are very good against a Dream Witch. Dream Witch is not really a great concept here. We could maybe go with a Sculptor, but I'm not sure if Yukakina has a Sculptor. There's definitely options here. I would say Hermit might be safe just to get damage across the board, but then again, it is a double-edged sword in that situation. You can get damage across the board, but then it takes longer to down the survivor. So it's a tricky situation. It's a very strong team comp here from Scars. And yeah, it's just... They are taking their sweet time selecting talents, though, so they might be debating, do we go with Flywheel, preparing for that Breaking Wheel? Do we go, Flywheel's not bad against other hunters, but knee-jerk broken windows can be arguably better against a Hermit, just because, he's very slow, so staying away from him is kind of just the best way to, or a very effective and good way to kite him. Yeah, they're taking until the last 4 seconds to select those traits. So that's a lot of, okay. Okay, so the problem with Night Watch here is that we have a Batter, and a Seer, and a Toy Merchant, and a Mercenary. I guess Chinatown is a better map for Night Watch than, say, Leo's Memory. Ever Sleeping as well can be not... The thing with Chinatown is that it used to be an insane map for Night Watch because he could traverse the entire map, get to either gate in a matter of seconds. With the nerf dash, it takes significantly more time to really pull that off. So yeah, it's not a great situation to play Night Watch in. Batter, you essentially can't chase. They did also place Toy Merchant in the hotel area, so she can entirely use that loop. Does look like we might be going for nope, we're going for... Are we going to go there? Because that's not going to be fun. Yukikina, that's not going to be fun. You have the toy merchant in the hotel who will just cut you for the entirety of the match. Or you have the mercenary who is also not very chaseable. But I think that might be where we're going. Arguably, the other side of the map would have been a better spawn. Even with the Seer, he at least doesn't have other kiting capabilities, or at least... owls are bad, but they give presence, which is good for Night Watch. Not getting presence from, say, a batter constantly knocking you out of the wind, and able to vault very quickly, drop pallets very quickly, just break a ton of distance, especially in that north area. There's a lot of pallets, a lot of windows to utilize. Also not a good first chase. Toy Merchant obviously can just use the hell out of that loop, even like with the catapult, with her glider. She's almost unchaseable in that area. At the very least, we are bringing detention here as a little bit more insurance. It looks like batter, we've actually not opted to bring borrowed time on. We do have borrowed time on the rest of the on the rest of the team here. We've got flywheel and broken windows on the batter, broken windows on the seer and the toy merchant, and tide turner on the mercenary. And we are bringing Insolence Detention here, so that is a very aggressive build here from Yukikina. But honestly, aggressive is what you need with a Night Watch, because the moment that you stop moving, stop pressuring, it's just going to be the end. But we do have a catapult set up here, so Shinami literally able to go across the entire map right now, and no hope of Yukikina really catching up in any sort of timely fashion. That's just a little bit unfortunate here. It has kind of stopped Shinami from using that loop, but then again, Shinami has more than enough time to kind of loop back around to it. So we will be seeing Takoyaki possibly take this kite, which again, first chasing a mercenary, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, especially for a Night Watch, but no, we're actually going to swap targets once again here, possibly running into the Seer, but Seer now has access to this hotel loop, which has already been outfitted by the toy merchant. Also, with an owl in play, the catapult up here is still able to be used, as well as the catapult at the bottom of the stairs that Toy Merchant just placed. There's a lot of teammate support in this area, so it's really not going to be easy for Yukikina to work here. But we are going to see that first owl utilized. So working around this pallet, very nicely done here, just to keep as much distance as possible away. And oh, a beautiful blink, and actually a double hit there! Beautiful play there by Yukikina, just using the last second of airtime there to blink, get the fall hit, register it as a fall hit at least, and then a surprise second hit there. No flywheel from Sora means that he is just going to go straight down. Absolutely amazing play there. And turned what was basically, I feel like we're still looking at a draw situation here, but batter is now free to harass, which I think is going to be a major factor. And Mercenary able to get that rescue, very nicely done. It does look like, we are going to get another hit in on the Seer, but Batter has completed his cipher. He is free to come over and harass, and it looks like, he is a little bit far away here. Maybe. I think that by the time Tide Turner is up, we will have the batter in the area. And yep, that is exactly what we have here. It does look like Yukikina knows, though, so batter really just going to kind of stay around for that pressure, that tinnitus, and really just giving that presence there, or having that presence there. Giving presence is a totally different thing. We are at full presence, though, so that does mean that we have 4 stacks of that wind here ready to use at a moment's notice. But batter, beautiful use of the ball just to get enough distance for that clean rescue. Batter still at full health here, ready to harass, and a nice stun as well. That does leave him with 1 ball remaining, at least until he's able to loop back around to the ball near the chair. But that pallet is still broken from earlier, so very nicely done there. Using it to just break a little bit more distance. We are going to get that heavy hit in there with no owl left to utilize. But batter is still in the area now with 2 balls to use. But oh, beautiful rescue there. I almost didn't even see that happen. Sora is going to go down here. We have about 2 seconds left on the bot, but Are we going? No, we're not actually going to be able to harass here. The rage is in cooldown, so we're not going to be able to stun with the bat. That is a very, very close call there. But Soar is going to be taking off, returning to the manor. We have 2 ciphers remaining, and both of them have very good progress on them. So we are very likely still looking at a tie situation. Nightwatch doesn't have as much map presence as he used to, so this isn't going to be, it's going to be much harder for Yukikina to kind of enact that map pressure to be able to push this past the draw. But a beautiful blink there, not allowing Takoyaki to make use of any of those elbow pads. And as we like to say, hunters will see a mercenary. Takoyaki is going to be left to bleed out on the floor here. We are kind of looking at a slug strategy, but also, it is a mercenary. We really do want to target the other members of the team here because they have, Toy Merchant has the best decoding here. Batter also has, I believe, a 15. No, is it 15 or 20? Batter has a kind of a ridiculous decoding debuff. But we will be continuing this chase here. Nice use of that catapult as well, which still had not been broken. I guess Yukikina didn't really have time to do so, but regardless, it does look like Shinami's actually stopped decoding here in order to heal up Takoyaki, which is not the worst decision in the world. It's very likely that they will need someone to rescue Monet, but Monet is also still at full health and still has enough resources to survive for quite some time and long enough to heal up the mercenary. A little bit unfortunate there that flywheel was mistimed, but it was also baited out by Yukikina with that heavy hit, so very nicely done there by Monet. But is the basement there? That is the real question. Monet does need to get out of this area if the basement is here. And it does look like he is going to be able to do that, but also does want to use this loop. But just missing that heavy hit. Very close call there from Yukikina. And that cipher is now being decoded once again. So I don't think, Blink is still on cooldown. Monet does have full access to this loop here, so it's very likely that we will be looking at that cipher primed by the time Monet goes down. We do have the bat at the ready with our final ball remaining. Nice pullback from the win, but unfortunately it doesn't look like it worked all that well. Monet was still able to vault that window. And with no balls remaining here, but we do have Rage activated, so much faster pallet drop there. We're going to see a beautiful pallet stun there, and the Cypher is going to pop. A little bit dangerous there, I will say, to have Monet as the final kite with that lack of borrowed time. But as the batter, and just a little bit of mind games around that pallet. Unfortunately, Monet is going to go down, but with that gate nearly open here, Yukikina does not have teleport, and with the Nightwatch nerf, it's going to be much more difficult to get to that gate. And it's actually Monet's first chair, so Yukikina can't afford to leave this. He just needs to secure the tie. And that is, a tie is all he needs. I think, the tie is all he needs to win that round, I do believe. So, Scars did need a 3-man escape in order to tie the round, but with a draw here, with a 2-man elimination, that is going to be a win here for this round for AWG. So very, very nicely done there. A little bit close, I would say, but when it's very easy to secure a draw. It's much more easy to get a draw than it is to get, say, a 3-man escape or a 3-man elimination. A draw is very much the safest option. So I do want to see the points here. I would say they're probably going to show that in just a second. Possibly. Maybe? Oh no, they would show, okay, here we are. My bad. Yeah, so we still are 1 point ahead, but it was 1 point to Scars in the previous round. So putting it back to 1 point ahead for AWG, still very, very close. Still extremely close results here, but heading into round 5 with a 1 point lead is better than heading into round 5 with a 1 point deficit, at least for AWG. With Scars, they do have to make up that point differential, but yeah. Although, wait. I do think that gives AWG 2 rounds in their advantage. Let me see here. Okay, yep, so it is 2 rounds to AWG, 1 round to Scars, and the other round draw. So I do think at the end of this round, regardless, unless the points are perfectly even, which I don't think they can be, I don't think there is a round 6 situation, God forbid. I don't think there's a possibility for a round 6 just because the points are 1 point off. I don't think it's possible for them to tie here, or to tie the points up. If they do get a draw in this round, it will go to AWG. Scars does need to win the round in order to win, because they will have the point advantage if they win. If AWG wins or ties the round, then that will be an AWG win. But back to the match at hand here. We're going to see the Priestess and the Forward Band, the Seer and the Batter are going to be locked in here, which I honestly, did they? Oh no, that was AWG. Well, no, wait. I thought they picked the Batter first last round. I think I'm mistaken. Anyway, oh no, because after round 3, there aren't global bans. That's what's happening here. So they are able to pick the Seer and because I thought the last match it was Seer and Batter first. And I was like, that's weird. After round 3, the global bans are no more. So does it kind of makes best of 5 easier for the survivors, I would say. But I guess, I mean, there's no more hunter bans as well. But when you're in the situation where you can lock in a combination as strong as the Seer and the Batter twice in a row and have it work, well, kind of work both times. They do need to push for a win here, though. They definitely need to push very aggressively for a win. We are going to see Yukikina ban the cheerleader kind of in preparation for that. This is a very tanky team, though. It's kind of reminiscent of something like Call of the Abyss 4, kind of that older meta coming out here with the slower decoders, with the Batter and the Mercenary. Acrobat does not have slow decoding, Seer does not have slow decoding, but in addition here, this is a much stronger map for the survivors. We are on, I guess that's more KOA 5 because we have the Acrobat coming into play. Acrobat wasn't really meta during KOA 4, but we do have the Sacred Heart Hospital as our map here. So that is a big buff in the survivor kind of territory. It does put Scars survivors at an advantage here, at least in this round. It will put AWG survivors at an advantage in the second half, but as long as Scars survivors are able to possibly even 4 escape, well, yeah, if they're able to get either a 3 escape or a 4 escape, that will put them in a really good position. Because coming into the second half of the round, if they're able to get that much, Laddie will only need to draw for them to win the round and then win. But because it is Sacred Heart, we are finally going to see that Yukikina Hermit coming back out. So I am always very excited to be a Hermit, or to see a Hermit. And yeah, I like my Hermit gameplay. Yukikina Hermit does kind of scare me a little bit, just because, again, we are on a very survivor-sided map. There's a lot of places for Hermit to kind of get tripped up in, as well as just the sole fact that we are going against Scars, who are a very, very coordinated team, and are able, as we've seen time and time again, keep up on that Cypher Rush. Cypher Rush is really the Hermit's worst enemy. We'll have to see what strategy Yukikina decides to go with. There's a lot of Hermit strategies that can be utilized here, depending on whether Yukikina decides to bring Insolence, decides to bring Trump Card, when and where he decides to connect the ciphers. There is a strategy that I always think of that's employed by Axis Waves Hunter KKK, where he only connects 2 ciphers at the very start of the match just to get the charge on 1 survivor only, and is able to bring Insolence and then get a very fast down that way. But if Yukikina connects the ciphers right away, it will slow down the early game decoding, as well as allow him to get damage on the entirety of, or at least most of the survivors, depending on if he's able to catch up right away. But again, we are dealing with, at least with this spawn, the Acrobat can be very strong against the Hermit, especially heading into that shack, and then into, I would say the Seer is probably going to rotate around to the other side of the map, allowing the Acrobat to take a kiting route towards those ruins, which are a very strong kiting area. Acrobat as well can also bomb out of the way of the stuns, so not going to be an easy first chase regardless. Mercenary honestly might not be a bad first chase. Because Hermit deals 1.2 damage instead of just 1 point of damage, you do have that chip damage capability. with the Mercenary. So Mercenary is not a bad first chase here. He's one of the Hermit is one of the only hunters where Mercenary is honestly a pretty safe first chase, because you can also use the stuns to kind of cut off his elbow pads. He generally doesn't have any kiting support other than those elbow pads, and kind of an increased vault speed. The one downside of targeting the Mercenary first is that it does mean that you can't connect the ciphers right away, and the rest of the team does not have decoding debuffs other than the batter. We do have the batter here. Looks like we are actually going to take the KKK strategy here and only connect 2 ciphers on the map, which I'm not sure if those were the right 2 ciphers to connect, because it doesn't look like the survivors are actually anywhere near there. So it's a little bit less of an effective strategy than we've seen coming out of KKK. Regardless, we are going to find Monet first, but Monet is a batter, B, deep within the hospital. So we are just going to go ahead and disconnect those ciphers because they obviously aren't being decoded. That is really unfortunate here, because the reason why that strategy works for KKK is because he connects the ciphers that are closest to, I believe, at least one of the survivors' spawn points, just to try and get the stun on one survivor. Those 2 ciphers weren't near any spawn points, and the Seer did rotate out of the ruins. So yeah, I would say maybe would have been better to connect like the cipher in hospital, but I don't actually think any of the survivors had touched the cipher in preparation for that. Anyway, enough of analyzing the strategy. We've actually moved on to Shinami on the Seer. We still haven't connected the ciphers or gotten a charge on anybody else on the map. We're going to actually miss that heavy hit, and we're going to freeze the Seer. Are we going to be able to get around in time? No, we're actually going to miss the hit and then hit the owl. That is a crucial misstep here from Yukakina. I would say maybe getting a little bit flustered at the rotation here. Not able to get that first hit, and that is so unfortunate there. We're able to get the stun in here because it was hitting the owl. That does mean that the charge was not lifted, so Shinami did still have a blue charge. We're going to use blink here, and interesting, I don't think Yukakina, I would say it was probably instinctual, because I mean I have done exactly that, but also I am not a tournament hunter. I play Alva on my Smurf because I'm bad. But wasting that stun there does send the skill into cooldown, so that's a little bit unfortunate to have happen. It does look like we are allowing those 2 nearly prime ciphers to not enter the loop here, I don't think. Yeah, it does not look like those entered the loop. Nice double stun there. Unfortunately, that's still going to be a before half rescue on Shinami. Very nice double stun once again. Unfortunately, because of the shared damage now, it's going to take an extra hit to get Shinami down. I do think it was a good decision. I think that cipher wasn't on the connection. I'm honestly not sure. But no, that cipher was not on the connection, I don't think. The primed one. Either way, enough trying to figure out what happened there. We're going to continue the kite on Shinami, but Shinami is also able to just rotate around this area with multiple pallets used, and we already have an owl back once again, so that is very likely, as long as Shinami is able to time the owl correctly, and with that misstep there, we are going to be able to at least activate the owl, which at the very least is going to extend this containment. Monet in the area here as well to harass as the batter. And are we going to be able to get this? Please don't knock out of attack recovery. Okay, we're not going to knock out of attack recovery, but with Shinami positioned in front of the window as he is, that's not going to be very easy. We're going to use the stun in order to get the secure pickup. Very nicely done there. But yeah, Shinami will be seeing only his second share. We've got 2 ciphers remaining. With all of them being on that connection, it is, again, a double-edged sword here for Yukakina. We are seeing, disconnecting that middle cipher, I do believe, just to try and keep, is it yeah, I think that center cipher may have been primed on the connection. So I do think that, in theory, we could see a little bit of, yeah, we are all going to take that damage. Shinami is going to pick up a red charge, which is going to just get a sliver of damage onto the rest of the team, but it is still just a sliver of damage. We do have 2 survivors on the connection here, but with a beautiful blink that is going to knock Shinami down on Tide. Will be a confirmed solo elimination here, but those last 3 ciphers, we have that third cipher is going to be popped. Last 2 ciphers are at 82, 83. I think they No, they're not being decoded on the connection. I think those two ciphers are the ones that have actual real survivors on them, so they are decoding very quickly. And with the position that these ciphers are in, it is very good. This is a very, very good position for Scar survivors. Not very good for Yukikina. If anything, that was a very nice teleport. Unfortunately, Cypher was primed, and it does look like Scars is once again going to be playing for that draw, which, as we've seen, it can be a little bit dangerous, can be a little bit hit or miss here, considering as well that we were able to get a 3-man escape on Laddie in the previous round, and with a survivor-sided map, AWG survivors can definitely take advantage of that, but Monai's not going to go down right away because of those charges, and we're going to actually swap onto the gate here. Sor was decoding the gate. With those connected gates, though, we will be able to open almost both of them at once. That gate's actually not going to be able to be opened, but all 3 survivors are still up. The dungeon is here. Takoyaki and Monet are able to leave. Are we going to be able to free Sor out the gate? No, that is going to be a 3-man escape for Scar's survivors. That is a very good start here. Heading into the second half of round 5, they just need to win this round. If they're able to win this round, then they win. If AWG draws the round, if they get a 3-man escape here, the most Lottie needs to get is a draw, which is the same situation that Yukikina was in the previous round, where all he needed was a draw in order to secure. So we're seeing a direct mirror image of the previous round, where all Lottie needs is a draw. So that is a very good situation to be in. If the dungeon had not been there, that would have been a draw. It was a very lucky dungeon spawn, very good rotation there. And also just taking advantage of the shared damage. That is what I was talking about, where the shared damage can absolutely be a double-edged sword, not only in keeping the seer alive, but also with keeping all of the survivors alive at the end, or in the end game, and just not allowing Yukikina to get a single down. So just very unfortunate there for Yukikina, but such a strong performance there from Scar's survivors. But we will be heading into the second half of round 5. Once again, I know I've said this like 4 times already, but all Lottie needs is a draw here. If Scars is able to win this round, then they will win the matchup. If AWG is able to get a 3-man escape here or a 4-man escape, then they will win. Then they will win the matchup. So it's all or nothing here. They really, they need to bring their all. And immediately Laddie is going to target ban that female dancer once again. Really just targeting Kairu there, which again, understandable. AWG needs to bring out as many big guns as they can get. Not allowing basically any team member to play on main can be very useful in countering them. We saw this actually in Call of the Abyss last year. Whoops. I just knocked over my pill bottle. We saw this last year against Zeta in Call of the Abyss, where Kazuneko continually got target banned, and it was detrimental to them. But we will be seeing the Priestess and the Female Dancer banned, Forward and Prospector locked in. And our last 2 bans are going to be the Explorer. Forward and Prospector locked in. Last 2 bans are going to be Explorer and Entomologist. It's a little bit interesting with the Entomologist. I do wonder who Laddie's going to play. We do have the Bloody Queen band as well as the Geisha, and obviously the Opera Singer. Sacred Heart is definitely not an easy map, and this is a very tanky team comp. We've got the Prospector, Forward, Aeroplanist, and the Patient. Looking at this, I do wonder if new IDV players would think that Emile and Charles are related, because they look very similar next to each other like that. Hello, Fathead Norton. Yes. Laddie does have a Clown, but Clown is not good on Sacred Heart. There's just too many areas that he can get tripped up in. It would not be very good to bring a Clown here. Maybe a Hermit as well, or maybe a Sculpt. Okay, we're going to go with the Night Watch. I guess you can maybe secure a draw with the Night Watch, but that is such a big risk here with the Aeroplanist, with the Patient, with, I guess, Prospector. No, because Prospector's a stunner. That's the problem. Night Watch is countered by, well, the map itself is geared towards the survivors. Patient can transition into basically any area. Aeroplanist can transition into basically any area. Forward can transition into basically any area and also serve as teammate support. And Prospector serves as teammate support and also is a passive stunner, which or a solo stunner, which counters Nightwatch and the Wind. So really not a fun team comp for Nightwatch, especially on a survivor-sided map. But again, Lottie only needs to play for a draw. So, I don't know. I would have been a little bit more comfortable seeing maybe a Soul Weaver here, or possibly, maybe a Guard 26. Yeah, Bonbon, Soul Weaver. I had another hunter in mind that I'm blanking on right now, but I already said Sculptor. Yeah, it's just not when you need to secure a draw. Because, I mean, if we only needed to secure a solo elimination, then great. Nightwatch, all the way. Go ahead. On this map, because it is so survivor-sided, bringing out the Nightwatch is just a little bit of a risk. Because there's so many areas that he can get caught in. I'm very interested to see what Laddie's bringing for a Persona Web. I feel like you might... Okay, so we are going to bring Insolence, Detention, and Blink. Insolence definitely is going to be good here, but I'm worried about those, about the ruins, about the hospital itself. It's very dangerous. It's a very dangerous position to be in when you do need 2 eliminations and not just 1. But we will get right into it. Once again, win condition here is a draw, and that will bring it home for Scars. Any other result or any winning result will bring it home for AWG. So they do need a 3-man escape here, which is not a fun position to be in. Again, it's much easier to be in a draw position, but we will be seeing the Aeroplanist as our first chase and already just going to immediately transition into the birdcage. Very, very effective here. We're going to force Laddie to break that pallet. Could have opted to jump over it, but kind of future thinking there. You might be able to jump it for a second, but it's really, you do want to break it for later. So Kairu is going to continue to take this chase very close there, really knowing the Nightwatch hitbox. That could have very well been a pallet stun, but nice use of the hover and the jetpack. That was a very, very clean jetpack. Absolutely no hesitation, just clicking those buttons, turning in order to get the direction right. But a nice blink there. But that is going to be our first hit, and we are well past a minute into the match. So we do have a couple of slower decoders here, though. Well, we have one slower decoder here with the forwards that does kind of put a dent in our decoding progress. And beautiful discipline there, just taking that vault right away. We are going to go down here, but very, very nicely done by Kairu. It does look like is in the area here with the forward. Not going to try and harass just yet, but does have Tide Turner. It can 100% come in for this rescue. Aeroplanist does also have Tide, so it's a little bit unfortunate that he was the first chase, but it's not the end of the world. We still have another Tide Turner on the team, and forward can be very, very effective a rescuer as well as a harasser off the chair. But we are seeing quite a bit of distance here. It is still going to be enough for Ace to catch up to the chair. Kairu, unfortunately, does not have any more jetpacks, so he will be taking it. Will be taking a hit immediately off the chair. But we do have Namiko in the area coming to harass as Prospector. So that is a lot of just pressure, danger here. Hiding behind that door as well. Laddie waiting to bait him out. Nice use of that stun. But we still have 2 more magnets left to use. 1 more magnet now. Nice stun once again. But I do think Namiko is going to take a hit here. Nice flywheel. Beautiful, beautiful flywheel there. Still just keeping up this pressure. And we do have 4 steps remaining. It is a little bit early to harass, but able to get that rescue in. Unfortunately, not able to get that body block. It's just an inch away from being able to get that body block in. Very nicely done there by Laddie. And it looks like Kairu may actually be going to basement. This is going to be quite a long distance chair if we do choose to go to the basement. No, we are going to go for the safer option. Chair above ground. It's honestly not a bad choice to chair above ground here as well, because you want them to rescue. so that you're able to get more damage on. But a little bit of an extension here. We're going to pressure, or at least find the forward, so we can possibly chase the forward later, or go for the Prospector. So Prospector might be able to get this as long as he's able to eat the hit there. Yep, is just going to take the hit, and here comes the forward with the steel chair, getting a very, very long stun in here. That is absolutely incredibly long. I think that was about 50% of that ball. Very nicely done. We do have Nostalgic activated though, so Laddie is able to see exactly where Kyrie went. We do have Blink up, so immediately just going to blink through the birdcage wall and is going to be able to get that hit in. So very nicely done there. Are we going to be able to get the hit in? Yes, we're also able to get the hit in on Namiko. That's very good for Laddie here. Really working towards that draw situation. At least we do have pretty decent cipher progress here, but the final cipher is at, our final ciphers are at 83% and working to about 40%, so it's not terrible cipher rush. They can probably, because this is Namiko's first chair, they can probably manage to wait it out here, get that final cipher primed before going into rescue, but that does still put them in a draw situation. The dungeon's honestly not that far away from Namiko's chair, and he will have all 3 magnets by the time he is rescued, so that does give him a lot of rebound potential, especially heading into the endgame with Flywheel up as well. So there's a lot of resources here, but Laddie does know where the final cipher is just going to continue to pressure it, and is trying to come in for the rescue, but is going to be sniffed out. So that could be this will be a double down situation. He's not going to be able to get in for that rescue. Laddie taking his time, though, doesn't know if Banban's going to go in for that. Banban, of course, is just going to continue priming the cipher. That is going to be primed here, but I don't know if Banban's actually going to be able to make it. We do have the hook in play here, but he is going to be Tempest away from the chair. Are we going to be able to get the Terror Shock? Yes, we are going to be able to get the Terror Shock, and Namiko is going to take off. That is a secure draw, and Scars is going to take the victory here. Absolutely incredible endgame play there. Just keeping up that pressure. Absolutely beautiful. And yeah, Ace is just going to go in for this rescue. They can maybe scrape a draw out of this. Banban does still have 2 hooks left to use, but Laddie knows that Ace is the more desirable target here, is just going to go right for that down, and this has turned into possibly a 4-man elimination here. I don't think Laddie's going to stop until it's over, so yeah, we are going to just switch targets over to the patient. With those hooks though, Laddie does have the dash, so it's not going to be too difficult, but a beautiful hook right into the birdcage there. We are just kind of playing for points at this point because Scars has won with that draw, and we are missing the hit going around that pallet. Of course, we are going to be able to get Banban down. Is going to be able to use self-heal here, but again, it really is just a matter of time before we close this out. Laddie using the blink. I think we might actually be allowing the draw. I'm not quite sure what that blink was for. But yeah, I think this is kind of an instance of they are just kind of playing for fun here. We are going to see that surrender go through, and Scars will be heading to the finals, which is honestly not that surprising. I mean, it is, they are one of the best teams in Japan, and one of the best teams overall. But that is it for the first match of last night / this morning. I don't think I'm going to do a second stream today. I think what I'm going to do is stream again tomorrow night, and then go through the finals and 3rd place match on Christmas. So that's my plan right now. It might change, but either way, tomorrow's stream is going to be later though, because I have work. But we'll see what happens there. If I decide to stream at all, I might push it off until Tuesday. But we will see how things pan out. But thank you for coming. I will have this up on YouTube momentarily. So obviously you haven't missed it, but in case you missed it, that'll be up there, or in case you want to rewatch it for some reason, it'll also be there. So yeah, that is it for now, but thank you for coming, and I will see you next time.